For those of us in the industry, we've been enjoying bourbon for decades. In the last few years, more and more Americans have been discovering this great spirit that we love so much. As companies create new brands, they're going back to marketing as they did in the 1800s. Then as now, they have found icons to build brands around. The legend of Larceny, it's a storied one, full of intrigue, full of mystery. It is about John E. Fitzgerald. He made the best bourbon there was out of Frankfort, Kentucky, on the banks of the Kentucky River. And he makes such great bourbon, but it's only available in a few places. Of course, everybody's going to want what they can't get, especially if it's the best stuff that's ever been made. But of course, this story that was created by Charles Herbst in 1870 to launch the brand Old Fitzgerald is a fictional one. And that legend continued until just recently when we launched the brand Larceny. And we researched and found out that John E. Fitzgerald was actually a real person. He was a Treasury agent for the United States government, and he actually had the keys to the Rick House. Here's an excerpt from Sally Van Winkle Campbell's book, But Always Find Bourbon. A certain individual who carried keys to a bonded warehouse always went to certain barrels for his personal helpings. This individual's name happened to be John E. Fitzgerald. So now we know the Fitzgerald name, the name that became world famous, really belonged not to a distiller, not to the owner of a distillery, but to a security guard with exceedingly good taste. It became an inside joke to the people who worked in the distillery that a light barrel was a Fitzgerald barrel. Even the bottle reflects the story of John E. Fitzgerald. You can actually see the key through the bottle, and there's other keys on the label. Larceny is a wheated bourbon, and that means there is no rye in the mash bill. The secondary grain is wheat, and that allows the sweetness from the corn to really come through. And we're proud to share that Larceny has received many accolades. It received a double gold at the World Spirits Competition in San Francisco, and by the Spirit Journal was named as one of the top 20 spirits of the world. So just as John E. Fitzgerald would select his favorite barrels from the Rick House, our master distillers select the best of the best by hand from small batches of 100 barrels or less from whiskeys between 6 and 12 years old. As much as we look to celebrate and honor our heritage, we're glad that you don't need the keys to the warehouse to enjoy some of the great bourbon that John E. Fitzgerald himself would have chosen. Cheers.